Today we're taking a look at some WWE superstars that may not be in 2K24. Some of the wrestlers that we're going to cover here are pretty much a guarantee not to be in the game. Others, we're going to just talk about it because the question has come up a lot whether or not they would be in next year's game. First up, we have Aaliyah. Aaliyah has not been on WWE TV for a very long time. Aaliyah was tag teaming with Raquel, and then she got sidelined with an injury. By all reports, Aaliyah is cleared and good to go to come back and wrestle, but WWE has not done anything with her on TV. There were also reports previous months that Aaliyah was moved to the alumni section. She's not there anymore, but even on WWE's roster page, she's not listed as part of any brand, Raw, SmackDown, or NXT. And so while she's not officially released or anything, and I hope for fans of Aaliyah's that she is going to make it into the next game, there is a possibility that they do not include her based on the fact that she has not been on TV in such a long time. And 2K might want to be making more room for newer stars, newer NXT stars to fill those roster spots. It's totally possible she can be added to the game and it's not going to be a problem, but with her prolonged absence, there is a possibility that she's not going to be in 2K24. Next up, we have Lacey Evans. Her contract expired. She wasn't released by WWE, but neither side is renewing it. So Lacey Evans is now a free agent. She's off doing whatever she wants to do, but it's very, very likely that she is not going to be part of 2K24. Lacey Evans has gone through many different iterations of her character, and I think WWE totally fumbled her latest run as the Marine type of character, giving her changes from being a face to a heel and back and forth every week under Vince McMahon. It was kind of a nightmare. And it's unfortunate Lacey Evans is not going to be with WWE anymore, but I do think that she is somebody that would not be in 2K24, even if her character was being created and ready to go in the next year's game. I think 2K would obviously be pulling her out at this point because it's still early enough in the development cycle. But there is the possibility, like they've done with Sasha Banks, we could be seeing her entire motion and some of her gear, call name, all those things within 2K24, so players could recreate her. The next one's a bit of a question mark, and we're talking about Ronda Rousey, because Ronda Rousey is not officially gone from WWE. She had her MMA match against Shayna Baszler, and by all the reports and all accounts, it sounds like Ronda Rousey is done with the company and they're gonna part ways. That hasn't been officially confirmed, but if Rousey is done with WWE and doesn't renew it, what do you think? Do you think that Rousey would be on some sort of Legends type of deal with WWE where they'll keep her likeness and character in the game? Or do you think that this is actually the last game that we will see Ronda Rousey in unless they induct her into the WWE Hall of Fame and then put her on more of a Legends deal? Or she just re-signs with WWE in a couple of years. But to me, this is possibly the last game we see of Ronda Rousey for quite some time. And the next two that we have for the women's division, first one is more of just a character we probably won't see in the next game, and that's Nikki ASH. Nikki Cross is obviously going to be in 2K24. There's no doubt about that, but we're going to get the Nikki Cross character, which we should be getting that character model this year, quite frankly. But Nikki ASH, that character is done, long gone. I'm happy about it. So this is one character that we're likely not to see in the next game. However, if you are a fan of Nikki ASH, there is a very good chance that we would see her entrance motion still being in the game, the Titantrons, those things, and you'd be able to recreate her with Nikki Cross and doing the opposite. Right now, everyone's trying to create Nikki Cross. We don't really want Nikki ASH anymore. So this is one character that I think is going to be out of next year's game. And rounding out the women's division, the Bella Twins. I don't think that we are going to see the Bella Twins next year. Fans of the tag team of the Bella Twins were really excited to be able to get them in 2K23. They added them in under Legends, but WWE has seemingly had a bit of a falling out with them, and it doesn't look like they would get renewed under a Legends deal or just a WWE contract, and I got a sneaky suspicion that they're not going to be in 2K24, which is a bummer because those that are fans of the Bella Twins, they've had them in the games and out of the games for so many years now, and it's great that they've been added in 2K23. Hopefully they do make it back in for next year's title, but with them seemingly being on the outs with WWE entirely, I don't feel like they're going to be in the next game. Now this next one is a big question mark, and I love to know what you think. I'm talking about Uncle Howdy. Uncle Howdy was added into the DLC, the Revel with Wyatt pack, and he was added in as a free addition to the DLC. You still gotta pay for the DLC, but he was a late announced addition to it to go alongside Bray Wyatt. Now, Uncle Howdy as a character had a very brief time on TV going alongside Bray Wyatt. I think for 2K, adding in Uncle Howdy as an additional character was a great move. It was fun to mess around with Uncle Howdy, but I don't play with him very much. And honestly, I don't think now we would end up seeing him in next year's title, because I think the character Uncle Howdy is obviously not going to be utilized going forward on WWE TV. So I think for that, it's not someone we're going to be seeing in the next year's game, as they've basically had to drop the entire character. Now, what about Bo Dallas? I definitely hope that Bo Dallas is going to be made available in 2K24. It'd be a good way to kind of swap them out. Now, another person that was part of DLC this past year is Zeus. We got Zeus this year as a Legend Edition to the DLC. And this is somebody that I don't necessarily see them re-adding next year. It could be totally wrong. They might be on a multi-year WWE Legends deal to be able to have Zeus in there. But I think if we have the choice, I think that a lot of people would rather free up that roster spot, maybe take out Zeus and put somebody else in, another legend, like maybe a Dusty Rhodes or a Mr. Perfect, or bring back Ric Flair. There's a lot of other options in here besides utilizing a roster spot for Zeus. Fun to have him in there. I'm glad people enjoyed him for the DLC. For me, where I'm sitting, I don't think that this is one addition that we would see next year. But if you haven't really tried Zeus, please do, and go utilize his chop. He's got like a double axe handle chop, and it's absolutely devastating on Hulk Hogan. All right, next up, we're talking Rob Van Dam. Van Dam is an interesting one, as he is a WWE Hall of Famer, and we've had him in for the last 2 years. He was in 2K22 as part of the DLC, and he was in 2K23's base game. But this past year, we've seen Rob Van Dam show up in the world of AEW, for example. So there's a possibility that Rob Van Dam's Legends contract is no longer with WWE, and that's where we see him going off to work in other promotions, and working with AEW, for example. Now, it would be great if we saw Rob Van Dam show up in AEW Fight Forever. I would love that, but I don't know necessarily if we'll see Rob again in a WWE game like 2K24. I really do hope so. We need Rob in that game. Hopefully his Legends deal is extended and he just simply has the options to be in the video game here, and he can go work and do other promotional work outside of WWE. Now, like Rob Van Dam, the next one is Jake the Snake Roberts, who's been a very kind of interesting part of WWE 2K games with his Legends deal. Jake Roberts has been in several WWE 2K games over the years. He currently works for AEW for the last several years. He's also been in the newly released game WrestleQuest. So it does appear that Jake Roberts, based on his deal and his Legends deal, he is able to just be in the WWE 2K games and work elsewhere without any issues. I do wonder though if Jake Roberts will make it in again, since he is so highly profiled within AEW. I love having Jake Roberts in the game. I love rounding out that 80s, 90s roster for myself. So I do hope he makes it into 2K24, but I'm kind of sitting on the fence whether or not he'll continue on with that Legends deal. And this next one is interesting, and it's Goldberg. Goldberg's contract with WWE is over, and he's no longer with WWE, and he's a free agent, and there's been talks and rumblings of Goldberg going on like a retirement tour, trying to do like 4 matches. He didn't show up at AEW All In. I wonder what is going to happen with Big Bill Goldberg in the future, but because he's done with WWE, I don't think that he's going to be in 2K24. And that is a shame, because quite honestly, I'm a fan of WCW. I grew up in the days of Goldberg's streak. I like having him in the game. I always thought his character model looked excellent in the 2K games, and I'm gonna be bummed out that I'm just not gonna have him available in this game. This is a big legend that would not be in the next title. I'm sure his motion, attire, all the stuff is probably gonna be in there for 2K24 that fans can utilize to try to recreate him, but it's not going to be the same thing. The CAW community is amazing. They'll probably make something like better than the in-game version, but as long as it's not going to come out saying Oldberg or Boldberg or something like that. So 2K24, I don't see Goldberg making it in. And 2 more on the list. This one I don't think is gonna be a problem, honestly. And I bring it up because, well, it's been brought up to my attention like in the community and live streams and things like that. People have asked the question regarding Edge. You think you know him? Adam Copeland himself is not re-signing with WWE. He could be under a Legends deal with them. He's talked about how he hasn't decided what he wants to do. He just had his retirement match, or his final match, contracted match with WWE on SmackDown against Sheamus, and it was great. It was in Toronto. I loved watching it, and I don't know necessarily if he's going to be in the game. And so some fans, I think, are just wondering, is he going to be in the next video game since his contract is up with WWE? I think it is. I think he's gonna be in there. I don't see it being a problem. That was his last match with WWE. It doesn't necessarily mean that after SmackDown, he's just done with the company. And this late into the development for 2K, that's a big superstar you'd be removing, and we have no idea the ins and outs of the contracts and if he's just on a separate Legends deal entirely with the company. I do think that Edge is going to be in the next year's game. I honestly kind of thought that he might even be the showcase star, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And this last one here, I'm putting money on he's not in. I'm talking about Shanky. I haven't seen Shanky do anything. He's been gone. I'm not no disrespect to the man himself. I'm sure he works very hard, but Shanky was on main roster dancing, and then he was gone. He's just out of our lives. So I don't think Shanky is going to be making it into 2K24. He's not listed on the main roster or NXT. There's a very good possibility that 2K would not put him in the next year's game in order to free up some roster spots to put somebody else that needs to be featured a little bit more. Comment below your thoughts on who might be in the game, who might not be in the game. I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.